You're listening to Nightmare on Film Street. The current time is 6:66. Traffic is clear ahead from here to the afterlife, but it's hell outside. For the next hour, you're on Nightmare time. So, let's give a grave welcome to our hosts, John and Kim.
Hello again, fiends, and welcome to Nightmare on Film Street, the horror movie podcast for the casually obsessed. I'm Kimmy.
I'm John.
And this week, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Re-Animator with Brian Yuzna.
With Brian fucking Yuzna, as he likes to be known. Re-Animator will be celebrating its 40th anniversary proper, coming next year. It was released in 1985, but there is a new 4K restoration of the movie coming out that Brian came onto the show to talk to us about.
We had so much fun sitting down to chat with him and talking about the making of the movie, his first time making a movie, coming to Hollywood.
What a crazy
Just
story.
like, I want to make a horror movie. And then he met up with Stuart Gordon, and Stuart Gordon was like, I also want to make a movie. And they made the best movie.
Oh my God. You're not kidding. It's one of the best movies ever made. It still totally holds up, and I can't wait to see it in 4K. Also, heads up, we both have colds this week, if you can't already tell. You're going to hear it all throughout the episode. But yeah, we're doing our best. We're hanging in there. We're barely hanging in there. As soon as we're done recording, I'm going to cough for an hour and a half and then eat a gallon of soup. That's my plan.
But thankfully, this is an interview episode, so you will not hear John very much.
Nope. Yeah, no, this was a great chat. We had a blast talking with Brian Yuzna. We talked about some of his other movies as well. Heads up, if you're a big Guyver fan, we talk a lot about Guyver.
And he gave us such a cool tour of his office.
He's got so much stuff in there. Like, it is like a horror nerd's playground with all of the cool stuff that he's got in his office. And of course, he's responsible for some of the best horror movies. We've been covering a bunch of his movies over the last few years. We just recently talked about Return of the Living Dead Part 3, another Brian Yuzna joint. Everybody loves Bride of Re-Animator in society, but today we're here to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the one that started it all, Re-Animator. Mr. Yuzna, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We're really excited to talk to you.
Are you somebody else here?
I would feel weird saying, hey, what's up, Brian? But if that's what you'd like, we can do it.
I've been called that my whole life.
That's a good point.
But that's mostly I've been called that. I don't want you to know what other things I've been called.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we're really excited to talk to you about Re-Animator. I mean, it's kind of the movie that started it all for you. Does it feel like it was just yesterday?
No. It feels like a long time ago. I'm very gratified that there's still life in that syringe.
I love that. Did you guys feel when you were making it, were you like, we've got lightning in a bottle here, we've got something that we're going to have to talk about in 40 years?
I thought that because I was new to making movies, and that was really my first professional movie. I came out to LA to make movies, and I didn't know, it was so exciting to do it that I just thought it was, great. Everything was wonderful, and it never, it was a great experience because from the very beginning it was well received. And so it was like got all these good reviews and big sales. And don't talk to me about why I didn't get any of the money, but on the other hand, it was just, everything was so, it was just a success out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, wow, what a great business this is.
People always say so many bad things about Hollywood, but it's been nothing but great.
But when I directed my first movie, Society, I truly thought that movie was going to be #1 in the country at the box office. I just thought it was so wonderful.
Yeah.
So you can't go by my taste. I've learned that over the years, that I wish I had Spielberg's taste.
Oh, I would
What
love
he
it.
likes, everybody likes.
Yeah, everybody likes
They
Spielberg.
like, very few people like. And I didn't get that. I just thought this stuff was wonderful.
It would have been so shocking if, like, to live in an alternate reality where we're doing these, like, 100 years of Hollywood, and we're seeing clips from Citizen Kane, and, clips from Chinatown, and then the shunting from Society. I mean, that's the world you were hoping you'd be living in, but yeah.
I don't know. I just thought I guess I did think it would be number one, but I just thought all the horror fans would love it. All the genre people would love it. And they didn't,
Oh, it's definitely found its audience now.
They
I don't
weren't
know.
ready for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
In the UK, it was like a real theatrical release and got a good response. Also France, Italy, Spain, I mean, not out of the roof. In UK, I think UK had the most success. But here, man, even my friends were kind of like...
They're like, it is great.
It was great,
Very
Brian.
good, very good.
So, was there any concern you had during Re-Animator that it wasn't going well? Because, like, you wouldn't know, right? Looking at it, just because it was so new.
It was like you're in the game. It's like, I think it's like when you see athletes after the game or something. It's like if I'm a baseball fan, and it's hard for me to watch the game, the Dodger games. Because I'm looking at it like, oh no, I know it's going to go bad, But when you get the interviews with the people in the game, they say, no, when you're in the game, you're just, you just have to go forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it is making a movie. I mean, in making a movie, of course, it goes over a long period of time. There's lots of struggles, lots of obstacles. Often there's lots of people working against you, believe it or not. And so you're really struggling. Now with Re-Animator, the unique thing about that movie for me is that because I got the money together to pay for it, I signed the checks. There was nobody I didn't have to go to anybody to get any permission to do anything. Nobody could question, my decisions.
It's good to be a boss.
That didn't mean I did all the work on the movie. It just meant that there was that level of things that didn't exist. And usually, one of the main areas that you get that become obstacles for you when you're making a movie is when the financing side of it is not in sync.
They have some artistic ideas.
Yeah, and when you're not, and also if you're not if you aren't responsible if you're not at risk for the money, then your point of view is different. When you have a different point of view. Well, when you do both, it's kind of you're pushing and pulling, you're pulling your own leash in a way. But I didn't even look at it that way for that. I think the struggles for me with Re-Animator, for one thing, I was just learning how to make a what I thought was a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And almost everybody on the crew was experienced. I mean, on the indie level, that independent level, in making movies, except for me and Stuart.
So
But Stuart had been directing theater professionally for 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, I had been doing a lot of other stuff, and I had gotten into entertainment, and I had made like amateur movie and gotten into trying to sell it. But then I came to LA, I thought I'm going to do it the right way. And so everybody was experienced but me. So I could never have been on that movie except by paying for it.
You hired yourself.
Nobody could fire me. But I think the struggle that we had, it was more like the struggle of time. Is this good enough?
Yeah.
Certainly, certainly, creatively, no, because Stuart and I were pretty much, we pretty much were on board with together on, because we'd also developed the script together. So I was worked with Stuart and Dennis Paoli to develop the script, because as you might know, when I met Stuart, I went to see him. I was trying to make, I actually put a ad in Variety, Weekly Variety, saying horror movie director wanted.
Yeah.
I lived in North Carolina at that time.
Oh, wow.
And this is before fax machines, and I got like hundreds of letters.
Wow.
And so I went out to LA and in New York, that's where they moved, that's where they all came from.
Yeah.
And I just would meet 5 or 6 people a day. And then I went to I couldn't really find anybody, but this guy named Bob Greenberg suggested to me that I go to Chicago, where he's from, and see Stuart Gordon. And so when I went to see Stuart, then he and Dennis Paoli and Bill Norris had already written a pilot, a TV pilot on Re-Animator. And I said, well, let's do it. I bought him immediately. I went to see a couple of his plays and talked to him. And I said, but I want to make a feature film. And so then the first thing I did was read the stories. And I saw they had a guy without a head. And I said, that's in the movie. I'm a horror fan.
Yeah.
Guys, talking heads and the brain that wouldn't die, and Vincent Price finding the head in the closet, right. and House on Haunted Hill. Severed heads are just part of the deal.
Iconic.
Exactly.
So you can see it really, it changed. All of a sudden we had a villain. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so we were, there was never any kind of creative
that's good
tension, I think. Where we did have trouble was with just doing it without working 15 hours a day.
Oh, good luck. Yeah.
And then we at first where the photography wasn't really working right. And so there was a lot. And then at the end, when we shot it in 16 days.
Wow.
And so then we cut it. And then I felt like we had to reshoot some effects at the end.
Yeah.
And also shoot the prologue.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was
yeah.
a little.
That was
there was Stuart and I certainly had. It's not like we didn't argue or anything.
Of course.
It was stuff like, at the beginning, for example. Well, I'll tell you from the very beginning.
Let's hear it.
I went to Chicago to the Organic Theater, which Stuart was the director of, and he said, let's shoot it in black and white on 16 millimeter in a basement.
Yeah. Hey, true artist.
I want to make a Hollywood movie. I don't know.
You're like, people won't be able to see the blood.
They won't know what we're gonna do. I said, I want to make a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was the prologue was originally, it was already written, but it was cut out for time. Mm-hmm. And then after we cut it together, I said, we need the prologue. And Stuart didn't really think so, but I said, well, let's do it. and because he had already gone back to Chicago, and we had to shoot all these insert, the
Mm-hmm.
chest bursting and that stuff. It didn't work that well. There's a lot of effects that didn't work, and you had to do them again. And the prologue we shot at that time, and I think there was a little bit of the Stewart did a cut, and he went back. The cut was over 2 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I sat with Lee Percy, who in the new 4K edition has a interview. There's an extra with the interview with Lee Percy.
Right on.
And we started. He rearranged some scenes, but he started cutting it tighter.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point I talked to Stewart, and he was, because we had sent him a VHS tape, and then we would talk about it, and he's going, hey, it's going too fast or something. And we ended up cutting it real tight. We went down to really 84 minutes plus 3 minutes credits.
See, that's directors, though. Every director could do a 4-hour cut of their own movie.
No, not necessarily. But it was Stewart's first movie too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. If he had really not agreed, he would have. Stewart's not. He's kind of he's not somebody that rolls over for anybody. Not at all.
That's good. I mean, that's what you want.
To a detriment. But after it was done, and I remember it was right after the Variety review came out, and it said it was a roller coaster ride. Stewart said, "You're right about the cutting."
There you go, yeah. You're like, I was waiting for that. You want to say it one more time?
but Stewart normally, he was very good at cutting. I think once he made once we made the first 3 movies together.
Yeah.
Calls and From Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of got, we were together all through the pre-production.
Yeah, you build that trust, and you kind of know what to expect.
So I think we were kind of learning together, and it was really Lee Percy, who I don't know about editing, but by going through the process with someone with his talent, that you just learn by doing,
Yeah, we've seen that longer cut, and it's got some really interesting stuff in it, like some really weird detours that it takes, and sort of fleshes out some other stuff. But I've always loved like how fast Re-Animator is. It's just nonstop. It's
very like frenetic. It really boogies.
Yeah, it's the Goodfellas of gory movies.
Well, it's lucky. It's 40 years old next year.
Yeah,
next May is the 40th anniversary of the first actual screening of it. It was at the Cannes Film Market in May 13th of 1985. And it was at the Star Theater. I think it was a midnight show, and it was raining. And when I went to it, people were lined up.
That's got to feel cool.
And it was a movie theater that turned into a 3-screen. So many people were there, they had to put them in the next screening room.
Right.
And they took the print, which was still kind of an answer. It wasn't even the final.
Wow.
And I mean, in terms of lab, not in terms of cutting or anything.
Sure.
And it wasn't like a release print. And so after the one reel was shown, they would move it to the next theater.
Oh yeah.
And it was so successul. I mean, people were clapping and stomping at the end, and I thought, "Wow, it's this movie business."
Yeah, so it's all gonna be just like this every time.
So next May, we will do a screening in Cannes again.
Right on.
To commemorate, and we're commemorating the 40th anniversary with a 4K restoration that Ignite Films, in conjunction with Eagle Rock Films, has done the restoration at Roundabout, which is a top restoration place here in Burbank.
Oh wow!
And they they did the restoration of Invaders from Mars, the old 50s
Yeah.
movie, which was extraordinary and award winning and all that. And they really, I mean, they really do a top-notch job. And Ignite did a great job of handling it and putting it out. So that's what we're doing for Re-Animator for the 40th anniversary. So we have this 4K is amazing.
I was going to ask if you'd seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I mean we'll have some like special screenings next year at different cons and festivals.
Oh yeah.
And I mean the I think it's next week. What's today? It's the 11th. So on the 16th, there'll be pre-orders available at ignitefilms.com.
Hell yeah.
And then in April 3rd, it'll be that's when it'll go out on the street. It'll all be through Ignite all next year, and then it'll go to like MVD and Amazon and all this type of stuff. But there'll be different packages. They'll have the special pack, the special box.
Yeah, this giant box.
You'll get like neon syringe. Green liquid.
Which will, have all of them will have a bunch of new extras, as though if you've gotten the last Blu-ray, it's like as though this movie needs more extras. Right? Yeah. But you've always got to add them. So we got a kind of a chat with me and Barbara and Jeffrey at Roundabout. We watched, I think they took some footage of us watching, looking at the restoration and the big screening room. And then we just talked about, making it and everybody involved and Stuart and all that. And then, as I said, there's a new interview with Lee Percy, who edited the movie and who I don't think he's ever appeared in an extra.
Oh wow!
And then there's another little documentary, and I think there's a documentary on the Organic Theater, which is Stuart's theater company. So you get to see Stuart back when he was 25 years old, 28. You know what I mean? Yeah. Working on that. And in the box, there's a book, a hardcover book, just the size of the
box set,
of the 4K, but it's a book about it. I wrote the introduction. There's Barbara wrote something. And there'll be pictures and stuff. So that's an extra that you get with most of the different levels of it.
It's got everything. Damn.
And
that's cool.
And the box, the high-end box set. I mean, it's a 150-page book, so it's not like
that's a book.
It's a whole ass book.
Nothing. All the different versions of the movie, and then some collector's art cards. But the thing I like the best is there's a Dr. Hill bobblehead.
Oh yeah, right on.
which I think is kind of cool.
That is really cool.
It's Dr. Hill holding his head.
I was going to say, where is the head bobbling from?
And you know how he wore that plaster head?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got the plaster head in it. It's just like the bobblehead you get at Dodger Stadium or something. Yeah. With the box, made by the same people, so it has the real nice box, packaging and everything.
That's great.
So and then there's some, some kind of like, promotional stuff. Like if your box has a green syringe in it, then you'll get a free signed poster by Jeffrey Barber and me, that.
Oh, that's fun.
So you get, to try to get people. It's a limited edition, so
Re-Animator version of the golden ticket.
Yes, yeah.
Well, they always make the high end one limited.
Yeah.
Because it's really about resale market.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know that, but in video distribution or on anything really, sneakers,
everything's limited.
The first thing that goes out is for collectors, and that means that it's really for people who buy them up and then resale at a much higher price because it's limited. And I think that's the way. I don't know. I guess the logic is that it gets excitement going.
Oh yeah, well then too, because if you've got it on an auction market, it goes high.
And then there's people buying immediately.
Well, and now with TikTok and unboxings,
I'll wait until next month, or so it just kind of gets the ball rolling. And then there's there's another level down that isn't limited, but it has all the extras. It's got the book and the cards, but no bobblehead, and and you know how it goes. Everyone goes, has less special stuff.
No, I mean, like 40 years later, like after you've got like a large.
You got to do something.
Well, you got to do something.
You got to commemorate it.
But it's a no-brainer that somebody would give you and Stuart money to make the movie. But like at the time, neither of you have done anything.
I borrowed them. Just a second, I borrowed.
So that's what I wanted to know. I'm like, who gave you the money to do this? How did you convince anybody?
Wow. And I took my money.
Wow.
Yeah,
good for you.
It was all on me.
You really weren't joking when you said you were signing the checks.
There were two people who actually, actually, even the people that invested the money, I guaranteed it personally to pay them back.
Wow.
So that's how stupid I was. And that's because if it hadn't made its money back, I might still be paying it.
That's true. I mean, it wouldn't be.
And at interest, and at a guaranteed. I guaranteed a return. I guaranteed a return. So I just went way off on the deep end, and luckily, I put my risk on Stuart Gordon.
And when you were going into it, were you always like, "We're doing a horror movie. I want to do horror"?
Well, that's I didn't. I mean, I'm a horror fan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I mean, I was sort of playing around at the same time with a comedy with this guy named Martin Katroser. But I just kept thinking, I like comedies. And I just kept thinking, if it isn't funny, I'm dead.
Yeah.
But a horror movie, I'm a horror fan. And the reason I know that I'm a horror fan is because I'm a movie fan. I'm Film Street, right? The reason I know I'm Nightmare is because I like all good movies. I like every genre.
Yeah.
Romantic comedy, drama, action, sci-fi, thriller, film noir, you name it, if they're good.
There you go.
A horror movie, I like the bad ones.
Yeah, they don't have to be good.
That makes me a horror fan.
That's how you know.
Not just a film fan. That makes me a horror fan. And so I knew that if I made the movie with the elements that I like, I said, even if the movie isn't so good, I know there's a lot of horror fans out there who will like it.
Yeah,
who will
exactly.
watch it.
It was a guarantee.
And it makes sense that you say that you really like comedy too, because I mean, Re-Animator has that in its bones. It's very zany.
Yeah.
It's got humor in it.
Mm-hmm. It's not a horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I always think that what it is it's got fun and irony.
Yeah, it's got personality.
And it goes, so of course and some of that I mean, Stewart kind of pushed back on the idea that there was anything humorous about it. And yet, when we were working on the script, we were laughing our asses off.
You're saying you didn't know Cat Dad Details Later wasn't a joke?
Exactly. But see, but Stewart said, no, we're making a scary movie, you know? And we would watch movies. I've always, from the time they had projection television, I had. And we would watch at my house, we'd just watch horror movies. And we'd watch stuff like Rosemary's Baby. I think we watched that 2 or 3 times because that really influenced Stewart. He said, oh, this is how we should shoot it. Because Rosemary's Baby, you're always with Rosemary.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, they follow her. It's always over her shoulder. But if you do an over the shoulder shot, it's kind of like you're the actor. And so if you notice in Re-Animator, there's a lot of and also in From Beyond, a lot of over the shoulders. And, you know, it's just, it's not really like Rosemary's Baby, but that was kind of the influence he had instead of doing static shots and jump cuts. And, there's a lot of things you could do. But we did have a good time. So I was, it always surprised me about the comedy, but a lot of that had to do with Rick Band. Richard Band was the composer. I don't want to get into the plagiarism theme and all that, but he was he told me. When he was starting to score it, he said, look at, I just did this movie, I think it was called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or something, a cheap horror movie from the 80s. And he said, it had this funny stuff in it, but the producers didn't want me to score anything funny. They wanted it scored straight away, scary. And he said it really hurt the movie. So then you're watching kind of absurd stuff, but the music kind of tells you how you should.
Yeah, if it's telling you not to laugh. Yeah.
And he said, you really, I'd like to do some, more humorous cues. So I think the best example of that is when Dr. Hill comes into his office with his head in the pan. He's headless, and he puts it down on the table to go get the blood to pour in. Yeah. And he keeps bumping into stuff. And he's like, if you scored that straight, you kind of feel awkward, but you kind of feel like, I don't know, this is kind of a bad movie, isn't it?
Yeah, like, do they know this is silly?
Exactly. But when he scored it kind of up, funny, then you know that you can laugh at it. It's okay.
You suddenly have permission. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's, it's everything has to, of course, I learned from that everything, and working with different editors and composers, it's, you really have to find the tone, and everything has to work for it, or else, you don't know how to approach the movie unless it's just so much cookie cutter that we know, it's, if it's a romantic Christmas movie, everything fits the pattern.
Yeah.
But if it's something that maybe is a little different, well, you got to be careful because people need to feel like they're in good hands. I always think, the kind of horror movie I like is it's kind of like the theme park ride, or the
haunted house attraction,
roller coaster type. Yeah, where you're having the fun of having vertigo, but you don't have to drive a car around, screeching around cliffs where you can actually get killed. You're just enjoying it in the movie, But you want to feel like the filmmakers are, that you're in good hands. They're not gonna, you can just let go and they're gonna take you. And I think that's what Stewart and Mac Oliver and and the actors and Lee Percy. I think that's what they combined to do, which is make you feel like, well, you start that movie, you just feel like you're just being pulled, you're just being swept along.
Yeah, that's what
And
you
I
want.
think the great thing about it, that I think the proof of that is that Re-Animator tends to get even new young audience.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of really great movies that don't hold up. I have a grandson that's 17, and I watch, he's come over and we'll watch movies.
That's pretty cool.
And one time we watched Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream.
Yeah.
So you can see the line, right?
Uh-huh.
The one he liked the best was Scream.
Yeah.
The one that I never liked.
Oh, really? Wow.
I mean, I liked it enough, but I appreciate Halloween because it really kind of broke new ground. I mean, it really
Oh yeah.
was really important at the time, and it has a lot. I like the boogeyman. That kind of urban legend type of story. That Michael Myers isn't. They're not trying to make him a real person. He's a cipher. He's the boogeyman.
Yes.
He just disappears. He has all this time to set up these very intricate kind of tableaus of dead bodies.
I know he's been lifting weights in the mental hospital.
Yeah, just yank that tombstone out of there.
Somehow accelerate through time or something.
Yeah.
But and Nightmare on Elm Street, when I first saw that, I thought, oh my God, this is great, because it had this sort of surreal aspect that I like, and I thought it was, when you first see Freddy in the alley and stuff. I mean, and it's all puppet type of stuff, and it was just, it was scary, I thought, and the imaginative, kind of scenes, like when when he is bouncing off the ceiling, bloodily being killed.
Yes.
What was that? Johnny Depp, I think.
Yeah, when he gets sucked into the bed,
and I worked with Jacques Haken, who was the DP of it, and he was telling me that Wes Craven built the bedroom and spun it, so he would bounce. Well, today it would all be digital, and
then that's why Nightmare on Elm Street holds up, because all of the practical effects just are so phenomenal. Even watching it today, even just like when he reaches through the wall and it's like nylon stocking or something.
It's so simple, and it totally holds up.
So good.
Have you had a chance to watch? Has your grandson watched Re-Animator yet? Like with or without?
Yeah, he's seen it. He didn't watch it with me though, so I don't.
Do you know if he liked it?
But he liked Scream the best. He liked Scream the best, and Scream was, I think Scream's 20 years old now? Or no, more.
Yeah, almost.
25 or more, which is still old. But Nightmare on Elm Street is 40 years old.
Yep, 40 this year.
I mean, we're talking, when I first saw the Universal horror movies, Frankenstein and stuff on TV is when I first saw them. They were like, Frankenstein was made in 32. I probably saw it in 62. So it was 40 years old. So when you think of that black and white movie I saw in the early 60s, that was 40 years old. And Nightmare on Elm Street's 40 years old.
Yeah.
And Night of the Living Dead is, what is it? 50, 60 years old.
60, yeah.
Almost 60.
Almost,
I mean, you're talking about silent era or something. So it's hard if you were around. The movies you see when you're young, by the time you get old, they're like, it's so far out of the the technical and storytelling culture that very hard to relate to. Most people can't watch a silent movie.
Yeah.
The only way you can do it is if you really make a point of it, or watching any old movies. You've got to, it's like going to a museum. You got to get that
the earpiece, yeah.
the context of the painting you're looking at, because you don't have any context for it. And I think people look at old movies, they don't have the context for it to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
and so most people can't watch an old movie, and by old, you're probably talking about 10, 20 years old.
Yeah, they get old. Everything gets old so fast. But a Re-Animator and Bride Re-Animator, they really hold up. I've shown them to a lot of people, and it always plays.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Re-Animator, I think it somehow, because we didn't have enough money, we just basically shot it all on a set. It's all interiors. There's not one exterior shot, except establishing shots.
That prologue, yeah.
And the prologue's interior.
Yeah.
It's all we see is the hospital from outside, the so-called Swedish medical school,
yeah,
the house that West and Dan are going to rent. We never see anybody walk up to it. All we do is see the house. Why is that? It's because we couldn't afford to risk rain.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
You couldn't stop. Yeah.
We couldn't afford to say, we're going to shoot this and we're going to light the outside and it was like, no. And the first AD just said, in production, said, hey, let's just not do anything outside, because then we can control it. We can, and the fact that there's nothing in it that you don't see a car. Well, if you don't see a car, you don't know it's 1984.
That's true.
That's a really good point.
We do see that old phone, so the hospital looks, more or less.
Morgues don't change.
Yeah, they kind of look exactly the same.
And West and Dan are nerds. They look just like.
Yeah.
Well, not really. I think nerds today are much nerdier.
Yeah, no, Wes and Dan, they don't really have a lot of posters on their walls or anything.
Well,
not that you don't have a bunch of posters on your wall. We did have
the Stop Making Sense poster by the Talking Heads.
I remember seeing that. That's a weird thing that I noticed.
That's in the background on the wall above the bed where we're introducing Dan and Meg's relationship.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff that people have on their walls, is that the mask from Guyver behind you?
Yeah, we just put out the 4K of Guyver.
Oh wow!
Oh,
we don't.
A new 4K release.
That's great. We have a friend who's like an evangelical fan of Guyver, who's been it's still on our watch list. We haven't watched it yet, but he's been bugging us every 6 weeks.
Well, this is the Japanese Guyver poster.
That looks really cool.
Great.
Which makes it look a lot cooler. I mean, the movie itself is a little bit Ninja Turtles, but with the greatest guys in suit, the greatest suits ever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the suits in Guyver are as good as Predator. It's way beyond the budget of the movie, but that's because Steve Wang and Streaming Mad George are two effects guys. Mm-hmm. Steve Wang actually worked on the effects for Predator.
Oh, wow.
Rad.
Okay, you'd say, what's the best suit ever? Is probably Creature from the Black Lagoon from the 50s.
Right.
Because that one, actually, they had to swim in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
no air bubbles in that one,
yeah. Now, of course, everything's CG, so there's probably not going to be a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But the level of those suits, and especially, monsters doing kung fu. I don't think, we're going to see that. So that's that poster. And this is what I was given that, I don't know if I've got I may not have a battery in here. It's
this thing lights up.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
That's amazing.
That's great.
And then it's with this little stand so you can put it on you can put it on the wall. I just haven't put it up. So that's pretty cool.
That is really
That is cool.
Yeah, no, we've always wanted to cross that one off the list. I know it's got great special effects. And honestly, if it's ever got your name in a producer credit or a director credit, I know we're in for a good time.
Well,
so we gotta watch it soon.
This is definitely an amazing, Screaming Mad George and Steve Wine co-directed.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't do it the way the Coen brothers do it or anything. they checkerboarded scenes. So we had 2 units going. So it's a little...
That's incredible.
I'll show you a Guyver thing here.
Yeah, let's see it.
This is when we were looking for a distributor, we made this up to... we sent it out to all the studios. So this is
really cool.
And then so here's all the actors.
Oh, cool.
We turned Mark Hamill into a giant insect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got David Gale in it. We have Kid Dynamite.
The classic.
We have, of course, what's his name? Michael Berryman.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
So then you turn it and you see who they turn into.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty rad.
You see, that's our hero.
That's pretty cool.
He turns into the guy. Mark Hamill, we didn't put the insect in there.
You didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
So here's Michael Berryman, and he turns into Mr. Boss. And then...
this is cool.
And then Mitzi, who is, what's her name? I forget. She was a great actress. What's her name? Vivian Wu. Well, she doesn't turn into anything. David Gale turns into this monster is too cool. You gotta
watch the movie.
This is how you get it sold. Yeah.
And Jimmy Walker turns into.
Wow,
man, they're amazing.
We don't have anything like this anymore. Everything's just a digital press kit
and
with
then
some
everything
photos.
inside. Then inside we had pictures and stuff, and a toy of one of the creatures, because these this is a anime.
Yeah,
and it was actually the first. It was actually the first anime, the first manga or anime, Japanese anime or manga, made into a Hollywood movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Good for you.
So anyway,
way ahead of the curve.
So that's actually out on 4K.
I hope he's going to come back with a cute dog.
It's out on 4K.
Oh, shoot. Here we go.
Ooh.
I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reflection here.
I know. This is always a nightmare whenever we try and review movies, too. We always have reflections.
It's the television reflection.
Yeah. That's okay.
But anyway, so the 4K has, we did some new art. And
hell yeah.
You can have, it's lots of extras, the whole thing.
Yep.
It's also, this is sold through Unearthed Films, which is actually the same guys. So I can promote it.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
But the Re-Animator 4K, of course, will be much more is on a higher level than this.
Of course. Yeah.
Definitely a movie that deserves the first class treatment. They're spending a lot of money. I mean, that restoration is like crazy expensive.
Yeah.
It's like it's like restoring a Hollywood classic.
That's awesome. We cannot wait to see it. And I hope we get to go to one of the screenings because we have not seen Re-Animator with an audience. And I think that would just be really neat to do.
Well, we're thinking about doing kind of they're talking about it, or trying to get it going, is to do kind of a limited theatrical release, just as a publicity thing. So
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 4K really. I mean, you can, when you go to festivals and stuff, they're basically projecting Blu-rays.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, that's pretty much what they show, unless it's at the New Beverly here in town.
Yeah, always on film.
Where are you guys located?
Well, we're actually in Canada. We're up in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Okay, Winnipeg. So you're about an hour or two difference?
Yeah.
I'm at almost 5 o'clock. You're probably almost 7?
Yeah.
Yep.
7, okay. Well, I worked in Vancouver
cool.
on Crying Freeman, which was never released in North America because of kind of financial political issues.
Okay. So when are we getting the 4K of Bride of Re-Animator with a little plush heart that comes with it?
That'll be the subject of our next
it better be
podcast.
Yeah, amazing.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, John's a big Bride of Re-Animator fan.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is my favorite Bride of Re-Animator.
Here we go. What's he got?
I love this.
I love this by Monstars. Their Bride of Re-Animator figure of the.
Oh
yeah, I love this little guy.
That's great. I love that you have it in the box.
I actually have it, but it's downstairs.
Okay.
But I keep the box. I think the box is really great.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, huge fan of Bride of Re-Animator. Re-Animator, obviously one of our favorites. We talk about it all the time. And I'm really excited for people to check out this 4K. Really excited to check it out ourselves.
And from Middle of Beyond. Now they're the ones that are doing the Dr. Hill bobblehead.
Oh, cool! They have some great stuff.
But this is their Dr. Hill's
head in a tray.
Head. And
That's
it's
so cool.
It's actually a tiki mug.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
But they can't call it a tiki mug.
No, it's a ceramic mug. Yeah.
I use it to keep my pencils in.
That's really fun.
You could put a cactus in there, right?
Absolutely.
Cactus.
That'd be fun.
It comes with a tray.
Oh, that's great.
It's in the tray. And different colors. You can get different color schemes. So that's Middle of Beyond.
That's great.
That's great. Yeah, they have some really cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Sure.
And
showing us all your stuff. It's so cool.
Okay, so remember, December the 16th, you can pre-order at ignite-films.com. On Thursday, April 3rd, you can get street date delivery, and then you'll have to wait till next year if you want to do it through the regular retail stuff.
And if you happen to be in Con
tons of
in
good
May.
stuff, and look out for the screenings.
Amazing.
And talk to Ignite and tell them that you want to have a screening up at Winnipeg.
Yeah, we should.
And you should do a Nightmare on Film Street.
There we go. Yeah. So we've actually started hosting movie nights. We did one in Kansas City last week with Cabin in the Woods. We did a House on Haunted Hill.
I love Cabin
recently.
in the Woods. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
The original House on Haunted Hill or the new one?
The original.
The original.
Thank God.
We love the remake, but we know it's so bad it's good. Yeah, but it's bad, but great.
Why did Joel Silver ruin all those movies? The 13 Ghosts was awful.
It has its
amazing.
charms. Yeah, it's awfully amazing. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's
Jeffrey Rush.
make all the walls glass.
Hey, it was the early 2000s. We're all.
Although that's less obscene than the remake of The Haunting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. You might.
It's not great. It's not great. I'll admit it.
Yeah. Kim's a big fan of that one.
But maybe we'll get you up in Winnipeg for a screening. You can come out and we'll interview you.
You know what? They're looking for places to promote the 4K by doing screenings.
That'd be fun.
So just tell them, look at guys, let's do a screening up here, and that'll get the people up in Winnipeg.
We've definitely got a vested interest in it. So we were hosting those screenings to promote a book we wrote. Like we wrote a cocktail book, and we have cocktails for each of those movies. So we also have a Re-Animator cocktail.
Oh, we should show you.
Yeah, I'm going to find it in this book.
Okay.
The book's called Cocktails from the Crypt.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
all different movie inspired
Nice.
cocktails.
Nice embossed cover.
Yes,
Thank you
so much.
We wanted to make it like a gift, like a Christmassy gift.
And this is our Re-Animator drink.
So what is it? Midori?
It is.
Wow, yeah, you knew right away. Yeah, so like it's also got like we've got a broken pencil in there. We've got a gooey eyeball.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
And then like the brain map.
yeah, it's in our tiki chapter, and it's rum and Midori.
I know it would serve perfect in the Dr. Hill head you have.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, get middle of Beyond and tell them you want to send you up a bunch of these mugs, and you can have the collector's edition drink.
That's
And the
amazing.
Reanimator screening.
Hell yeah!
You know,
We'll send you a copy of the book for your office. It'll go great.
Well, I'd love to have it.
Oh, amazing.
It was truly great talking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much to Brian Yuzna for sitting down and chatting with us about Re-Animator and celebrating the 40th anniversary. Check out the 4K restoration. Pick yourself up a copy, pre-order it so you can get it when it comes out. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until it hits a retailer.
Yeah, and keep an eye out for some of those film festival screenings, some of those roadshow screenings that they're doing.
We'll probably be at a couple.
We're
of them.
definitely gonna go. we're gonna try and set up one in Winnipeg if we can. But that's gonna do it for this week. We'll be back again soon, talking about some more movies that we watched in 2024, some other stuff that we want you to keep an eye out for, other movies that we loved. But until then, I'm John.
I'm Kimmy. Stay creepy.
It appears you made it out alive, but we'll get you next time. Help us to grow the horde. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you subscribe. More terror can be found lurking on our website, nofspodcast.com. Until next time, stay creepy, fiends.